Welcome to another episode of Modern Black Man Podcast. You already know the boy brought the homie. We about to talk about a few things because it's different when your dad's black. Doug, what up?
What up, bro?
Man, trying to be one of the many, one of us 20 million in this country and really thriving, really winning and being successful. There's 20 million black men in America. We are few and we're not very united. Not only is this what they planned, what they wanted, and where we went, but this is the least productive point. I'll begin there. I think as black men working in education, being in the community, and actually alive in these times, we need to benefit from the progress that's going to be made.
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to get rid of people like what's his name? Something Umar.
Dr. Umar, you don't like Dr.
Yeah,
Umar?
like yeah. If we assassinate him, we might prosper as a people.
I'm gonna leave you alone. I mean, Dr. Umar is
Uh,
one voice, and
but he's a
unfortunately,
he's a voice that's in the is in the education sphere. Like
yeah.
the problem
Well,
is we're teaching our kids backwards rather than forward.
I got it from here. So Dr. Umar went to a PWI first and foremost, Mr. Black Thought, and I think that is where we really can begin the cognition or the ignition of change. Because what I led the show with, we're 20 million deep, and niggas don't know nothing about these niggas out here. You heard me? We have no unity because we thrive in division. It is obviously survival in this, but if we really collectively united, I've had this discussion in a lot of different cities, a few states, and even a couple countries. In America, what we could do. In America, what would 20 million black men look like? Just imagine that. A state that could take over the entirety of this country is the goal of any general in a strategic position. And I'm not trying to go all over the place, but we can't even have these thoughts because our minds are weighed down by failure. Our minds are not weighed down by success. We're not distracted by opportunity.
I think from the sound of it, you believe that everything you're saying is utopian in nature,
No, no.
but I think it's dystopian. I
Okay.
think I think if all black people come together, we'll make
You my
we'll
guy.
ruin things. We'll ruin things fast, man. Like I mean, like look at what makes us happy. Like more money makes us happy.
You're making the point that I wanted to make at the end of this show, right? Because we haven't even got to the point of it sounding good, bruh. What does 20 million
That's because I mean
armed
I'm not
black
gonna.
men
Yeah,
look
I
like?
can't. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like a problem. It sounds like a problem because you're not gonna convince 19 million to to to
Man, you get it.
be
Okay.
be
You
smart
get it.
enough to listen to that 10 million
But is
because
that
it's, I
rap
mean you
or is
not
that
you're
racism, black man?
is that racism? No, well
Or is it
this is
rational?
what this is a good question. This is a good question. I think it's a good question simply because that question of race has to come into play in question of are we talking about color? Are we talking about culture? Because if we're talking about
There you go.
color,
All the
then there are
above.
plenty of white people out there that will claim to be black, and you can actually find that on their birth certificate. But if you claim it to be culture, then my question is that a learned behavior or is it something you're born with?
Man, all the above, right? Because how we identify and we never get to a point of acceptance. We never get to a point of excitement or desire. I really want to get there first. But before we can get to that point, we can't see it because we can't believe it. Why is that? Is that racism or rational?
No, it's the same issue that transgender people have. It's the
Mm.
same. It's the same problem. Is when you're trying to identify as something that you're not necessarily born with. It's, I mean, you're not. I mean, they're not necessarily born into the quote unquote body that they identify as, and we.
I have to interrupt you. That's it though. Like you said, is it by race or by culture? It's identification and what you embrace. Why don't we have a positive black image, positive black composition to either become a part of or divorce oneself from? That's my
Because
issue.
of money,
That's
man.
my
Because of
contention.
money. Because
Classism,
of money.
classism or
Yeah.
money?
The, pro- that's what money breeds, classism. I mean,
Yeah,
because you have a class of
wealthy.
millionaires that have become millionaires overnight, right? But then you also have a class of people that aspire to be the other class, and then you have those like you and I that just choose to go to work, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And then you have the undesirables, those that refuse to work, those that refuse to become a part of the American dream, those that refuse to become you know um, to conform to societal norms, like not shooting people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and then you have that educated class that's not necessarily educated. They just have managed to pay to go to school, so now they create these Illuminati type of scenarios where the only reason why the nigga is shooting people is because he hungry. Like, no, bro, you know how much a gun costs? Like, like, you know how stupid that
Oh man.
sounds? Like, I mean,
But you popping it open on what I want to talk about is classism essentially. Um, I just pulled up some statistics. Um, it talks about odds and likelihood of becoming a millionaire, and it's broken down by age, race, education, etc., etc. Before we even scratch the surface of that, you make brilliant points, Doctor, talking about how these niggas out here get a Glock, they get a Smith and Wesson, they get that Zig, and they on, and it makes no sense because it's a desire for destruction. That's
right.
my problem.
And yeah, but then you have the educated saying that the whole goal was to feed his family. Like, bro, I mean, I've never met. I have been living for 39 years, and never once have I met a starving gangbanger before. I've
Bruh,
never met one.
you can't because these kids they idolize it and they're not really in the game. So these niggas is
No, no.
hungry.
I mean, in the sense of literally starving. Like, I've never met a gangbanger that didn't have money in his pocket.
And you know what? Gangbanging probably okay. I concede that, sir. I agree with that. Listen to this point I'm making now. When you talk to the young kids that are supposed to be that now, they're victims of this circumstance, and it's like they're trying to make that life come true, right? Because we've convicted these people in the past who were these new ones that are replacing them. They're convincing themselves that this is where they have arrived or this is who they are, and I'm heartbroken because it ain't adding up. They ain't built like that. That's not who they are. It's just an escape. It's an excuse to be able to say I'm effing starving. So now men like us in the system of the community, seeing that or identifying with that, are I think confused. And I love this conversation because you
We
already
don't
know
know
how
what they
my
mean.
life.
Yeah, we,
You
we,
already
we
know
don't
how
know what they
my
mean by
life.
starving. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what I think I feel what you're saying. Like, we don't necessarily know what they mean when they say they're starving. What they
Right.
don't mean, what they don't mean is they don't have money for food. That's what they don't mean.
Right.
What they more than likely mean is I don't have all that I want, right? But here's the
No.
problem. They're being educated by fools in colleges that honestly think that because they have went to college that they also deserve $100,000 a year.
Uh,
Like without even being like breaking into the workforce, they deserve $100,000 a year.
so
I mean,
listen to this.
what I'm saying is from class to class, you don't see a lot of difference in terms of the want and need, because the need is obvious, right? The need is what everybody needs. Everybody needs food. What are the five needs? You know what I'm talking about. But I
Maslow's
mean,
hierarchy, the bottom, fundamental sustenance.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, those. Yeah, so I mean, everybody needs those, but we're lying to ourselves if we're saying that a person is selling drugs and at the end of the day they don't have those things. Come on, I'm
Bruh.
not a fool.
the game
I'm not
the
a
game that got cracked open, and you know what I really started clinging to? I want the white man to sell drugs. I want him to be in every neighborhood. I'm not saying that I'm against thugs. We're not saying that we're against rappers. I'm
I am.
saying I'm saying that this would force us somewhere else, and that same old BS and that lie that our weakest are beginning to tell now will go away. So now you won't have young people that maybe they like to get high and they be around drugs and they like to say they sell drugs. I don't even think they get to that point. I don't think they be anywhere near no drugs. And then they still want to say that they are. But once we eliminate these dark areas of our society and we illuminate areas into which our young people can grow, we really will have an environment that's conducive to growth. And that's what I keep preaching on this channel. And that's what I keep telling everybody about, because it is coming. We are at the top of the roller coaster. I'm not saying things look good. I'm not saying I'm happy. I'm not saying that things are better. I'm not saying anything but the point that I've made. We are at the top of that roller coaster. And once gravity gets a hold of our society, we're gonna be locked in. So
You guys know that I'm not the kind of guy to virtue signal. So I I'm just
I'm
gonna
not
be
virtue signaling. Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm
It's
not talking about you. See, you took that
I
personally.
did. It's society though, because I see it. I'm old enough and wise enough now to see it. Like every election, it's the most important for like the last 4 or 5 that I can remember. At least 4 elections. It's been the most important one. Okay.
That's because
We're,
the news says, just because the news says that doesn't mean that's true, man.
Sure. I'm saying that it went from being echoes in CNN in 2000, right? Something you heard from your civics teacher, to something that you saw on the internet, to something that's become this ubiquitous message. And we have not grown in any of these scenarios or any of these seasons or any of these elections. And that's
Well, you
why
know
this
why?
tell me.
I'm willing to tell you why. And you guys aren't going to understand nor like it. Fact of the matter is black people don't know how to vote.
Okay, this is
And
perfect.
I'm not saying in the sense that you don't know how to get up and go get in your car and stand in a long line and write your name on a paper. No, that's what Democrats have convinced you that you don't know how to do. Actually, what I mean you don't know how to do is you don't know how to literally look at every politic of every candidate and decide for yourself which one makes the most sense for your family and your family alone. See, my problem with everything that we're talking about is this utopian message of trying to get all black people together. When I don't agree with that idea at all, I think that people should be more in tune with their families and being more in tune with their general neighborhoods, rather than trying to make some type of philosophical agreement that all black people are in this together,
You
because
saying it ain't
I
about
don't
where you
know.
from, it's where you at, and you ain't got no respect for no nigga Mecca? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Not at all, not at all. I don't have any respect for something that never existed and never will exist.
Hmm.
I mean, because
We're
there,
gonna
there
talk
was
about it.
yeah, I mean, you're never going to convince me that um that we'll be better off if we just can get to the bag. I mean,
Well,
like,
I want to talk about it because the idea of I just talked about men, by the way. I didn't even account for our counterparts. But we can't even imagine or fathom what we would do if we had this nightmare, right? and we never embraced it. We never welcomed it. We never looked at the prospect of having unlimited brothers as a positive thing off the ripski because of, I think, who most of us are. Even if you went to Morehouse, I don't think you want to try to have all these niggas with you. My point is, we need to recondition, retrain our minds, and we need to really glorify the right messengers. Wait, we need to glorify the right one. And I'm not, and this is where the conversation gets incredible because if there were 20 million of us together, who would we praise? I think that's your nightmare. And I see that as well. But if we came together, that there would have to be a foundation and there would have to be a unity that we don't experience. And I think this country or the world, as diasporic people.
Yeah, I think you make a profound point about us not having a foundation, because that's exactly true. Me and people like you and I are too far and few in between. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are, for I would say, for every group of people. See, because I'm about to flip the script in a second, so allow me to just say every group of people. There's only 5 or 6 of them that are actually thinking about what's happening, right? Um, and then if my issue with, the idea of 20,000 black people getting together
20
to
million.
do, I guess the question is getting together to do what? Are we trying to take over something? And then I guess the question is from who becomes the enemy? And then the question is why? And then what do we do if we win? And if we lose, how do we live with the fact that we lost? You can't. You see what I'm saying? You can't. Because it's
Here's
simple.
why I said that.
Well, hold on. The reason why you can't, and this is going to bother everybody, of course. The
Okay.
reason why you can't, it is just not in God's will. It's not God's will for us to be separating ourselves by color, and I can prove that biblically.
I
But
believe. But I
but
have a better point than that. Because I'm really pragmatically talking about what happens in the United States if we were to have the United States of Negroes. If we had our own state, who would be there, right? I said it was just the men because we should be given citizenship first. And if we allow a partner, right, in this new state, or whatever we call this, because the men are all there, um, what that would look like. I haven't said we're declaring war on anybody. I haven't said anything but resources and development of resources. I think that it's critical for the Black nation, the Black delegation. When we get together, we're gonna have to have a port. I think any anyone that's listening to this that has had this conversation in their city, in their state, in their situation. I hope I got listeners in Ohio and Alaska and California as well as New York and Pennsylvania. But I digress. Miami, holla at you, boy. Uh, what would we do? I mean, what would our direction be? There's 41 million plus 42 million if we incorporate women, but if we began and started first, what would we do? Is my only proposition, the premise I'm leading with here. It's incredible.
yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really
We
can't.
no
I
one
don't know
knows,
the answer to that
and
question.
no one
And
would
the only
call
reason
it.
I don't know that, yeah, because I mean, put it like this. Put it like this. The problem with the conversation we're having, if you and I was watching two white men have this conversation, all we be screaming right now is racism. Racist this, racist that. All they want to do is separate us and get rid of us. Just like when they were talking about going to the moon and trying to create life on the moon and so on and so forth. The first thing that niggas start talking about is white people trying to leave us here and go to the moon. I mean, fact of the matter is it doesn't make sense to separate colors. It doesn't make any sense to do the certain thing without creating that word or that stigma of hatred. You can't do it.
I'm trying to create the narrative, the rhetoric, because it is assignment, and it sickens me how easily we will assign black bodies, but without hesitation, I think most people would assign this, would design this, and research it. So that was
What do you
the
mean?
whole point
What
of
do you
that.
mean? What do you mean about the how hard it is to assign bodies? What do you mean?
Yeah, black men in America. I already gave you the constitution of our numbers. There's only 19 million of us. If 1.9 are incarcerated off the rip, goddamn, you already know they're coming for you. You feel what I'm saying?
I
Like
just
if
don't know what you mean when you say when you say design the
you know what they say, bro. They talk about the patriarchy and we talk about the legal system. We talk about the healthcare system. We don't talk about nutrition. We don't talk about poor thoughts. We don't talk about anything that revolves around accountability. We just talk about all the things that are here to kill us. And that's exactly what I did. If that makes sense. It's very superficial, right? I'm just looking at our numbers, and I wanted to talk to you about it because of all the points that I've made, how easy it is to disrespect black bodies, and I'm starting with men. I don't want to get dirty with women right now. Our women built America, and truly, if it's
what are
not
you
betrayal.
talking about?
Okay, I'm talking about black people, black bodies, and I started dividing by gender.
What do you mean building America? I don't know what you mean when you say that.
Black people been, you know, black people have been in America since the Mayflower, like since they came from Europe. They've been bringing black people to Santo Domingo since the 15 something.
Okay, so now
Like,
you just went from talking about the United States to talking about the West
okay,
Indies. Which
the
one are you
black people
talking
that
about?
got to the United States, how did we get here? It was over 500 years ago. Is my point.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what you said. You said that
Okay,
black people built America. I want you
yes,
to tell me how they built America.
I love. You know, my favorite place, my power and seat of institution is
Because
Washington
I know,
D.C.
I know. I mean, I've never seen not one building made of cotton, not one. I've never
Oh, you're
seen one building
so.
made of
I hate
sugar,
you so much.
not one. I've never seen one
Doug,
building made
come
of
on, man.
dicks, not
Benjamin
one.
Banneker built
I've never
DC with
seen
his
any of
eye.
this stuff.
Benjamin Banneker built DC with his eye, a diamond, a perfect diamond with his eye. We
Did you
built
just hear what you just
America.
said? Did you
What's
just
that?
hear what you just said? I mean, you literally just said that a person built something with their eye. And you expect me to have an intelligent conversation beyond that?
You don't believe that Benjamin Banneker was able to do this?
No, I don't. I don't think if I didn't if I can't look in the scriptures and see Jesus building anything with his eyes, I'm not going to believe any nigga did it either.
I know, but that's my point. That's my point. Is that the black man in the world is different than the black man in America. And I'm focused on us here. I'm saying that we built institutions of power. I'm saying that we did incredible things with less. And I think that spiritually, over 500 years, developing these intuitions and these spirits, it may not be owed to black men in America. It may not be owed to black people in America, but we are here and we are capable.
So is everybody else, man.
We are powerful. Yeah, everybody else is as well. And let's talk about these numbers that I have to make these points. The Asian community, we talked about propensity and likelihood of becoming a millionaire. Asian community, 1 in 5 are millionaires. 22.3% of Asians are millionaires. Crazy. White people,
Not
20,
crazy. Not crazy.
21%.
Makes perfect
Um,
sense to me.
yeah,
Make
of the
perfect.
white
Yeah,
delegation are millionaires. And
it
then we
makes
look at
perfect sense to me.
Hispanics and blacks. We actually are even at 6%. While we
But the
have,
question is why, not the fact of the matter is the fact of the matter. But the question
yeah,
is the why,
yeah,
and you
yes.
can't. What people what we will try to do is blame everybody else for our shortcomings, but we don't tend to just blame ourselves for our shortcomings.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is the reason why Asian culture is so prevalent is because of the family structure. It's
You said
because
it's culture.
they do
Culture.
not jump around with their thoughts. They stick to what daddy said. They stick to what mommy said, and they stick close to daddy until they have found a man
You love
that
that
is
so
what
much.
and that is willing to take the reins of what daddy has instilled in her already. So she's able to build by creating more lives. and he's able to build because he has a supportive woman that trusts him. That's why
Amen.
that's why the Asian population is so prevalent and is so enriched. It's because and the Indian because you forgot about them. But the
Asian
fact of
is
the matter
Indian,
is,
buddy.
okay, fine. You call them what you want to call them. I'm going to sit. I'm going to be 100 and say that that demographic, whether you include them or disclude them, the fact of the matter is the reason why that they are so well better off than everyone else is because of their family structure. There is no other reason because most of them are immigrants. Most of them, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about worldwide standpoint. If you look at all Asian demographics from India all the way to the end of China, they move. They'll go other places
Yeah.
and they'll prosper wherever they go
The
because they go
politically
as a
correct
family.
terms are brown and yellow Asians.
Fuck political. Fuck
I am
political.
a brown Asian, to clarify.
I
I'm also
I'm
black,
Doug.
but I am
I'm
not a
I,
millionaire, and
I'm
that's
Doug.
not something to complain about. You Doug,
I promise
exactly.
you. I'm Doug.
And
I'm
you fit
I'm
into
I'm
more of
never
these
gonna.
demographics than one as well. Because again, my point being black and diasporic, niggas don't know where they come from. Get a DNA test. Find out who your great great granddaddy was. Find out who your great great grandmother's uncle was. And
I did.
realize that in America, we have an intermingling, we have an intermixing, we have a lot more than the superficiality that we rely on when we look at things, which is why we made this episode, because you have to look a little bit deeper into things and be much slower to react. I was just talking about those demographics. There's more about education and money and blah blah blah, but I don't think we're trying to do a deep dive into classism. But I do
No,
have
I
those
mean,
numbers
because I,
for you.
I think the problem is our education is tainted with so much BS
Yep.
that we honestly believe that in order for us to advance as a people, we just get stuck in the 1920s. Let's just stay there,
We
and
regress.
yeah, essentially, like real fast too. The first thing your boy Umar will do is uh, start talking about slavery and like nobody living knows what that's like.
I agree, but here's my thing: we are so quick to try to be punitive and tell black people to wrap it up, but we never get that way with the Indians. Think about
What do you
this.
mean?
Okay, I like to do stand up. One of my funniest jokes, I be killing it, is talking about Native Americans and Indian reservations, because anybody knows anything about history, no one exploited their seasonings or their anything. Pocahontas was the best thing we had going. Was that like 16 or 1700s? You understand what I'm saying? It was very early on in the American experience. And we left them behind. We disbanded them and tried to send them on. Those Indians were black. Those Indians were Mexican. Those Indians were everybody that wasn't white. You understand that, right?
No, I
Like,
don't understand that. No,
oh
no,
gosh,
you're not gonna convince me of that. That's a lie.
you gotta
That's
hate
that,
your
that, that,
heart.
that, that-
Let
that's a
it
lie,
out.
yo. That's a lie.
But my point is,
How is that possible? How think about what you're saying. You're saying
think about
that
cowboys, think about gauchos. They're similar, but they're
the
different.
African culture was
Yes.
also in the Americas at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Dominican
What sense
Republic,
does
like I
that
said,
make,
there
Brian?
were
What sense does
there
that
were
make?
dark people that came from continental Africa, and then there were also dark people that were in original
You know
America.
what that
Like,
means? You know what that means? That means there's no such thing as black people.
yeah, but that's yes, I agree with that. But you know that we call continental Africans the ones, right?
No,
Actual
I call them
black.
Africans because they live in Africa.
Yeah, but
I
you
call
know what
people
I
that
mean.
live in America Americans.
I
I
agree
call
with
people that
you.
live in South Americas. I
But some of
call
those
what
South American cousins
depending
that
on
we
what
got
country they
and
in
them
because
Dominican cousins that we got, they got different great great grandmamas, right?
see that's what I'm
So
saying.
some of them is dark skinned from Latin America, and some of them dark skinned from continental Africa, and we still try to deny that there's a lineage. That's my point on
that
both sides.
I'm not denying the lineage. What I'm denying is the fact that there's some type of divide between that
Yes,
lineage and the
colorism
lineage in Europe.
and
There
racism.
is no divide.
There's a like I
No,
said,
you no no. You divided. You divided by color. You divided by
yeah,
what they do, how they move.
How they got.
I only divide it by who's with Christ and who's not. That's how I divide things. So
Appreciate you.
if I'm dividing it based on a spiritual standpoint, the only thing I can't talk about is color. And I say this because if you know if you want to go all the way back to the time of Genesis, people were divided by language, not color.
Yes, Moses was
God,
able to
no,
blend
no.
in
That's
with
true.
the
That's true. Further
Egyptians
debate.
and the
God
Jews.
confounded their language. He confounded
Okay,
their language because he said, if I don't, there's nothing they won't think they can't do. That's what people were doing. People, not the white
you almost
people
got an
or
amen from me because life and death are in the power of the tongue. Absolutely. So why can't we not construct a positive, peaceful palace for our
because it's
brethren?
sin.
I ain't. Well, wait a minute now.
Think
You
about it this way. Think about it this way. Think about it this way. Think about it
okay?
this way. People like to say that we our sinful nature comes from sin, but that's not true. We
Flesh.
sin because of our sinful nature.
Our sinful nature comes from who we are. Okay.
We're sinful people. All we want to do. Think about it that way. All we want to do, not necessarily what we decide to do, because that's where the conscience plays in.
Free
But
will.
what you always will want to do
Mm-hmm.
is what your flesh or what your mind or what your heart has decided is best for me right now, right? However, when you decide to, matter of fact, I give you a perfect example. Last night I was at my favorite bar playing pool, and these two guys got into it, right? At the end of all of that, when they both finally left, guess what I found on the floor? 40
Some money.
bucks. I
I
ain't
knew
even
you
gonna
a
front.
fool, bro. A fool.
I mean, hey, listen, hear me out. Please let me
All right.
finish.
All
I
right.
found 40 bucks on the floor, and I even made a spectacle of it with the bartender. I was like, oh, they left me 40 bucks. Oh, and I put it in my pocket. I'm not lying to you, B. I put it in my
I
pocket.
know you're not.
Out of nowhere, about 20 minutes later, guess who walks in?
The
One of the
dude
guys
that.
that one of the guys that helped me break up the fight,
Oh,
right? And now
okay.
he was sitting there talking, we all talking, and as I'm about to leave out, finally, even though I've been struggling with this for 20 straight minutes, finally, I pull out my pocket, 40 bucks, and I said, hey, man, is this yours? He's like, where'd this come from? I was like, I found it on the floor. I figured it had to be one of y'all's. And he checked his pocket. He's like, oh, yeah, it's mine. I gave it to him and I walked out. When I got to the car, when I got back in this very vehicle, I'm telling myself that had to be God because it wasn't me.
Amen.
You see
Amen.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can say that about any situation under the sun with any person, no matter what they're talking about. Because quite honestly, if I'm talking about us dividing people for the sake of me being, or I should say, my quote unquote culture being better, the first thing I have to do is I have to weed out the things that are good. I have to weed out the things that are righteous, and I have to.
Wait, you don't weed out the righteous.
No, I have to, because if I don't, then it won't make any sense to me. Like
Wait,
right
wait. You're not
now, this
weeding it
doesn't
out.
make
You're
any.
parsing it. You're not weeding it out. You're parsing it. You're separating them, right?
Brian, what's the difference?
That's my job. You right.
I'm
What's
moving
the
things from
difference?
side to side. What I'm
Yeah.
simply saying is, if I take a righteous standpoint to it, there's no possible way that I can convince myself that these 20,000 people need to move away from the rest of society in order to be better. And
20 million.
if I'm going to do that, the first thing I have to do is decide that these 20,000 people are different from the rest, and I cannot, with a real conscience, say that that's true.
I agree with that so much. Like there's sense in that. I just propose this premise to you that if we were able to begin with just 20 million, our men, because there are more women than us, and we unite, right? For whatever reason, because we're being superficial. Black men and black women don't necessarily have to go together, right? I'm just making the intellectual argument that we are deprived, we're diminished. Unfortunately, this has made society dismissive of us. That is all that I'm displaying here
How do
in
you
this.
say that with a straight face, bro? Do you turn your TV on at all? Everything is everything these days is built around me not being upset of being black. Everything. If you just turn on YouTube just for 5 seconds and don't watch anything that I watch, right?
Mhm.
Watch everything that I disregard. All you hear about is how we as black people are the victims, and we need to we white people need to curtail their thinking so that they understand what they're doing wrong in the world, so that black people and Mexicans and Indians can feel better about themselves. Like, no, we're not disregarded. We're now that kid that comes into the school, that goes into that goes into that classroom, that has a fourth grade level education,
Oh
but
no.
he got pushed up to seventh grade. And
Now my class.
everybody has to take their time in
Yep,
order for him to catch up.
yep. And
No,
Henry's
no,
bigger
you
than
need
the
to
other kids.
you
He's
need to
very
sit him in
aggressive.
remedial class and let him learn what he's missed for the past 500 years.
But
Because quite
no, because he's big. He's bigger than the other kids, and we found out it's a metabolism issue. He's got me, and you know what I mean.
but
Like
yeah, I
I
guess we could
had
let him
this
play
thought today.
basketball.
I'm very upset with some very high level people. We are doing way too much with this, trying to treat the world like a Montessori school. I do think that there's some merit to it, but this doesn't work because the system is artificial. When you force people into the system of ultimate intuition, where we have to feel and have this discernment that's high level, and we have to be so patient and kind, and no, it. I think that's what's ruining things, and it's
Right.
making my kids weaker. I don't like it.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you're convincing your kids now
To be
that even if they don't try, it wasn't their fault anyway. And that's
It's
crazy.
sad. It's hard. It's very, very hard. And I get how these parents, they come off as so crazy. You're crazy, man. You want to take your kid at home, you want to homeschool them to keep them away from whatever wildness you're talking about, that you're forcing your kid to hang out with a decade later because you're not giving them the proper education. And that's the text message I sent you that got this whole episode started. So before we break,
hey,
I
hey, real
really
quick. I saw a thing that popped up for one of our viewers. I just wanted to tell her thank you. I forgot her name just that fast. There you go. But it doesn't say her. Natasha. Hi,
Tasha Gray.
Natasha. Hey, thank you so much, Natasha. Hey, from the bottom of my heart, and that guy right there too. We just
We
want to
love
tell
you.
you thank you. We love you, and you know, we're doing this for us.
Yes,
Anyway,
exactly. We trying to get it right.
anyway, you know what? I'll say this. What I can guarantee, and let's just say if this utopian idea was to occur, if it was to occur, what I would probably see is the first couple days go really, really well. Everybody's going to be very, very excited. Everybody's going to be very, very in tune. And then all of a sudden, we're going to remember, wait, I want to be in charge. Wait, I want to be the top gun. Wait, I was here before he got here.
Right.
And beyond any shadow of a doubt, what can't ever happen is a society thriving outside of leadership, right? And because we're not going to be able to convince ourselves who should be the leader and who deserves the leadership responsibilities, we're going to assume that it should be me. And I mean, I can say that with any people group, bro.
I'm
Any
turning
people
into
group.
warmonger now, but
Well, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think Takala
Any
started
people group would
right.
say that.
You said what?
Any people that would happen with any people group.
I mean, I've been patient though. I've been patient. I've been patient.
Yo, man, hey, I'm thinking about going to Canada.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm sorry. The whole time we were talking, that's all I was thinking about. Um,
Well, okay. Before we break, we're growing in Ireland. We're growing in Canada, Lagos, Nigeria, and South Africa. So those are four countries that we want to get to know more of and about, and we'll see where this leads us. So
yeah, you should really try Edmonton. I mean, I don't know what most Canadians think about like that area, but like I've only been to a few different places. I've been to Edmonton. I've been to British Columbia and places like that. But they're a very very
evolved, sophisticated.
I would say, just a very intelligent people when they're not, I mean, just like Americans when they're not consumed with the crowd, when they're not consumed with the mob, when they're just by themselves and they just have time to think. I mean, I've said the same thing about every country that I've been to or lived in, that once you get a person by themselves and give them time to think, right, and give them time to move by themselves, excuse me, yeah, they make better decisions, man.
All about originality.
Yeah,
Life, being an artist and a professional, merging those two together, there's so much value in bringing fresh, real things to the forefront. It changes people's perspective, and I think it drives projects forward
yeah,
in
yeah,
experience. So I'm all for it.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I say this: if we as higher melatonin individuals.
Higher melanated,
Yeah, I don't. I
vibrational,
don't know. I
spiritual,
honestly don't know what to say because like I said, I'll
intergalactic.
be honest with you. I mean, this is not me trying to curtail my speech. This is not me trying to watch what I say. This is me being honest with people and saying that I don't necessarily have an answer to my wife when she asks me, "So what do we call ourselves?" Right? I don't know what we call ourselves. My my
I
my
don't really.
my my basic thought is always to go with the landmass, right? So I live in America, so I'm American. I'm in Alaska, so I mean currently I'm an Alaskan. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
quite honestly, and I mean you guys will get this. Y'all will notice about me after a while. Even biblically, it's based on where you at.
I agree with that so
Philippi,
much so.
I mean you got if you look at the book of uh Thessalonians.
Hmm.
Thessalonians is a people group in Thessalonica, right?
Corinthians
Romans,
are people group
obviously,
too.
huh?
So are Corinthians. They were in Corinth.
Exactly. What I'm simply saying is based on the people group. The
Hmm.
only the only the only group that I can see in history that was ever actually given a name that wasn't associated where they were from until uh later on in their history were the Israelites, because
I mean,
originally they were referred to as Hebrews, right?
yeah.
Um, and beyond them, I don't see people groups that aren't associated with their their
Ancestral
landmass,
homeland. Hmm.
right? Because of the simple fact that Abraham was, he actually had to go to the place, and then
Where was that? Do you know?
what are we talking about?
Abraham, is that Mesopotamia? Where's Abraham from? Is what I'm asking.
I would say if we were to be completely honest, yes, we would probably say, I mean, I have to look
It's
at a map
Iraq,
to be.
bruh. It's Iraq. Mesopotamia's Iraq.
Yeah, yeah, because you could definitely refer to them as Iraqis if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
But
just,
however,
it's interesting when you
but
break it down.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I lived in Italy, right?
Hmm.
I never referred to myself as an Italian because, quite honestly, my fort was on American soil at the Air Force base, right? Um,
But I see
but
that in Italian more than American. You can be
Well,
black
yeah.
and
Well, I
be
mean, when
Italian.
Italians look at me, they know that I'm American. They never looked at me as black like we look at ourselves. They never looked at me as a nigga as we
But
look
you
at
could pass.
ourselves. They
You could
looked at
pass
us as
on them
Americans.
Italian niggas. Like, you feel what I'm saying?
No, 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 no. So out there,
He
and
said
and
no.
and in the rest of, excuse me, in the rest of the world,
Yeah.
there is a actual breakdown of the type of person you are, right? So if you the type of motherfucker that's always stealing stuff, they call you a gypsy, right? But
You're
if
wrong.
you just a normal average dude that's from Africa, they just refer to you as African.
But not a gypsy.
But not no, because gypsies are people that actually are just there to find a way to steal it from you, right? So yes, a lot of these people do come from African
It was very
countries, or
American of you to say that. You
and
can't say world.
they'll get there and they'll set up a shop on the street, and before you know it, he done tried to rob you for everything you had, and then he'll just try to go back home real quick, right? Um,
They really have that in South France, though. Like,
yeah, they got no. I mean, all over Europe,
yeah,
all over Europe. Yeah, I mean, I
because
don't care where
they're
you
from
go.
North Africa and they get over to, I can't think of the M French city. I would totally go, but I can't think of the name of it right now. Anyhow, yes.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, the fact of the matter is even in the rest of the world, they're still using landmass to identify people,
Which I
right?
think is appropriate.
It is appropriate, but the problem is why can't we do that? Why can't we come to that realization here?
Because I'm not Japanese. Like if I was
But why
Italian,
can't you just be American?
I am, and I
Aren't
identify.
you?
I am,
Aren't you? Okay,
but
why can't that be it?
yeah, because the world is a big place
No, 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 no. It's because you,
in America.
we couldn't, and I won't say you. I won't say you specifically, but
You can use
okay.
me.
Here's the problem. In America, even though we will represent our state to the fullest,
Mm-hmm.
in those states, you might have some people that rep their city, right? But in those cities, they don't want to just live with the fact they live in the city and we all in this city together. No, they have to break it down even more and more and more and more to the point where we have to divide ourselves by color. Do you know there's people there? I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong when I say there are people light brighter than me that if you look at their birth certificate, it doesn't it probably says African American on it. Why? Because we accept that. You know, I don't know why we accept that. I still, like I said, I don't know what to call us other than American. Because quite honestly, this is where my family started and came from. As far as I know, I don't know anything outside of America. Yes, we as a people were stolen from our land. However, that is not true. We were not stolen from anything. We were paid for. We were bought and parceled and
Yes,
sold
chattel.
by people that look just like us. So the question is, does being looking just like me even matter? It can't matter because people that look like me sold me. Yeah,
Marseille.
she was right. It was Monaco.
No, Marseille was the city I was thinking of.
It wasn't.
Marseille, Marseille, South France.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Marseille.
Marseille.
But hey, Monaco was a good guess.
Mine was a great guess. I get blanked on it.
Yeah, Marseille. But I mean, you understand what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
essentially saying that if, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, your utopia was just America in general, right? And we had decided that, you know what, we are going to feel like the day after 9/11 right now, from now on. And is this country versus the rest of the world?
I was here during then, and you were too. That wouldn't be the worst. Isn't that crazy? That wouldn't be the worst thing to happen. We were so patriotic. George Bush
So
from
patriotic.
Texas. He from Texas, right? This is before I moved to
Yeah.
Texas the first time, which was about 20 years ago. But everybody was behind that, and everybody felt that. And it was in society where we were very wrong about the weapons of mass destruction, but we were very right with that blind American rage where we knew that people were going to get killed. We knew that our country was going to drop bombs on people. I just thought in the desert, and everybody in America was talking about turning the desert to glass because
Hey, baby.
all those, I'll call them slack-jawed yokels, didn't know where Osama bin Laden was from. I don't think any of us knew it was him maybe at that first moment. But when our president rallied us as a country, the bigotry, vitriol that I probably co-signed low-key on, and you did too, did all of those things. And that's probably what Donald Trump really means when he says, he wants to make America great again.
Yeah, quite honestly.
It's just that with
Military man.
that should be fixed by Supreme Court.
Yeah, yeah, man. I got to get going, man. Because
Yeah. We're
as you can
signing
see,
off.
I'm in here trying
Let's
to
do
get some
this
business taken
again.
care of. But I want to thank you all for taking time out to listen to this show. B, this was a good topic, bro. We need to move on with it next time
We're gonna do it
because
again, man.
I want to talk about the educational part of
Yeah, I
it.
know. We're gonna get back to it. We'll tackle it again. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Yeah. I honestly. Thank you guys that did email me to tell me congratulations on the new position. I appreciate that. That was really sweet of you all. Thank you for shouting me out in your emails. But that's really all I got. I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Man, it's a pleasure, sir. We're gonna do this again.
All right, bud. Have a good one.
Peace.